Hello, my name is Sandra Schmidt. I'm an associate professor in social studies education. My work is situated in this talk around Malawi. I was invited a few years ago, into this project by two colleagues in Malawi. One had been a professor of social studies education, and the other a social studies teacher, both of whom are now working in the Ministry of Education when we began this work. This work is influenced by the tensions around who determines and how are the standards set for civic education. This work is important around the world, but particularly in countries like Malawi that are not merely contemplating global dilemmas, but bearing these crises like climate change. Crises like climate change are global dilemmas, but they are experienced locally and in relation across localities. As we deliberate global citizenship and global infrastructure, policy, and participation, my colleagues were critical of US educational programs brought to Malawi that reflected nationally oriented forms of participation above all others. My colleagues recognize the importance of global education, and they participate in summits, discussions, etc. across locales, quote, global work. But also that in Malawi, solving global dilemmas begins with local action and restoring and retaining local institutions. Malawi, like other countries across the globe, have long been organized around deliberative practices and community membership and action. But these democratic constructions are not recognized in some spheres because they exist within elder systems that are not elected governments. Malawi also shares in an urban migration problem. To be educated as citizens within a global education system educates people out of the rural homes because these places do not contain Western structures that such education values. Hence, to educate toward representative government as the site of change and action is to educate people out of rural areas that are the lifeblood, literally through agricultural and cultural holdings of the country. Hence, this work is relocating civic education as a local and communal practice in the organization and curriculum of various teacher training colleges so that they can share this with their students. We began with an examination of various projects and then continued to invest in these by developing teachers who would remain in rural areas where they were assigned. There were a variety of model programs such as planting a tree for every student with every faculty member. In agricultural classes, learn about the mechanisms of keeping that tree alive and growing it. And in social studies, studying the community problems that lead to it. So these are a model of the programs that we're continuing to use into these TTCs. Thank you.